in this election for anyone who's not previously cast a vote. Presumably many people, or 62.7% of you actually to be exact, voted before today, either online, over the telephone, or by mail. And so when we are finished with member comments, those who have not voted and have registered will have the opportunity to then cast their ballot. Depending on how many of you that is, we will take just hopefully a few minutes to tabulate the votes, and then we will make an announcement on the result. So just to get a sense of how many people we are talking about, if you have not voted and are planning to vote today, would you mind just raising your hand? Is there anyone who wishes to vote in person besides Wendy? Okay. All right, member comments.
Wendy Kulik, 38 Marsh Edge Lane. I have one comment and then I have a question. And the comment pertains to the process that was used for calling for this vote. Those of you who have heard me comment before know that process is a big thing to me. Most property owners, myself included, found out about the vote just about 30 days before we were going to cast it. We then had 2 sales meetings where we were told all the benefits of what was being proposed, but there was no balanced presentation of the issues. And then the votes began. My suggestion for the future, whenever there is a referendum, whatever the topic is, hold informational meetings, let property owners know this is going to be coming up. Don't do it, as so many votes have been done, when people are in the process of returning to the island or they're still away because their minds are on other things. And finally, after the pros and cons of what people are being asked to vote it upon are presented, then announce what the process is regarding the vote. So that's my suggestion for the future. As far as my question, 2 of the items, part of what was being voted on were 2 fingers of land out in the marsh as we're coming onto the island. Tom and I have 2 brand new cars courtesy of Irma because we had 2 feet of water in our garage, and our land is 8 to 10 feet above mean high water. Those 2 fingers of land are significantly lower than that. So how much water overwash onto those 2 islands during the storm? Thank you.
Perhaps you read the same article in this morning's paper that I did, but the only data I can provide is there are apparently 54,000 properties in the Low Country that are 4 feet or less, at an elevation of 4 feet or less. But I do not know on this. Other member comments or questions?
Yes, my name is Larry Olenoff, 7 Greensward Road. I hadn't planned to come to the meeting, but I was asked by one of the board members to share some perceptions of how this process has worked. I very much echo Wendy's comments in terms of the lack of a balanced pro-con presentation of this whole project. In fact, at times, some of the presenters entered into the realm what I would consider condescending speech. When answers were provided to questions, they were often incomplete, and there was a great deal of trusting in the answers that were provided as opposed to detail. When detail was asked, we were given reasons why that detail wouldn't be provided. Now, I'm not going to argue the pros and cons of the deal at this point, but I would say that you have a number of people on the island who came away very dissatisfied with the process, very dissatisfied the way this was done in measured steps, where at the first meeting where I attended, we were told that more information would be available, but people had already voted, wouldn't have a chance to change their vote, which in itself makes no sense from a democratic process. Now, I have, and I continue to sit on both public and nonprofit boards. I've chaired those boards. I realize, and I hope you realize, how important communication is. Now, there are reasons why certain things have to be done in a very short period of time. The response to the tropical storm is a good example of that, and kudos to everyone involved. Kiko did an excellent response. But these types of activities, if they can't be done appropriately in the time frame that is given, they shouldn't be done. They should be reflected upon in terms of how the process needs to be performed, and if the time needs to be taken and the other party is not willing to allow that time to be taken, then there's no deal there. This is not between two private companies, it's between a public entity and a private company, and everyone involved on the public entity side should have the availability of the information necessary to make an appropriate decision.
Any other questions or comments?
Don't worry, it's not that much. Again, I want to thank you for how you dealt with the hurricane, and it's very much appreciated. I want to thank you all and all the other entities that were involved, and I understand the time and effort put into dealing with the swap. But after going to the Spit the last week, and I go there quite often, I felt the need to speak on this issue, that it's not always just black and white and 1 and 1 equals 2 and it's all business oriented. Whether it's yes or no, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a business person, I'm not a scientist. My background is art therapy, and from my heart, it's speaking from the heart and talking about feelings that are important. And it seems like anytime things were brought up, it was always, well, keep it inside, we don't want to talk about it, there's other things you don't understand, there's other things that we're talking about. And my feeling is you need to, if you keep it inside, it festers. And I've heard, not just, I'm speaking for myself, but I've heard from other people that it really bothers them and it really hurt them. And that's how I'm speaking. And I'm sorry it's not scientific or business-like. You said that, it's not just you, I'm just saying all the entities have said that it's not about the Spit. I wonder how many people have been there and how many haven't. I've talked to a lot of people that have lived on the island. They've never been to the Spit. They don't know anything about it. And it really surprises me. So I think it gives you a different perspective of what's going on. And others have said in the last meetings that how important the area on the front of the island is. You come on the island and that gives you the big impression of Kiowa, and it's wonderful. I was sitting there yesterday and I was at peace, and I said, I don't go to spas because living on Kiowa is a spa. Going to the Spit is a spa. Listening to the serenity is wonderful. Listening to the dolphins, the birds. Everyone, and you hear people comment, it was commented in other meetings. Oh, when you cry, my husband has said it, when we used to vacation, you come over the causeway and your blood pressure goes down. Well, the same thing happens to me out in the Spit, and I've talked to many other people. Sitting there, you get that same feeling, but I get the feeling that that's not as important as other parts of the island. And I know there's other issues I don't understand, and because I'm not in the, I wasn't in the meetings and such, but I'm telling you from my perspective, that's just as important as the other parts that you're talking about. Just in terms of, I don't know if the vote's going to be yes or no, and what the direct impact it's going to, either one will have on the Spit, but I think that I believe there's a serious consideration to be given to all actions in the future by Keek or any conservancy or whoever else is involved, and how that's going to affect the development of the Spit when that comes up. I guess just don't forget it, and keep those in your thoughts. Whatever, we don't know what's going to happen. You all have said, we don't know. This is the best that we can do, and we think it's a good situation, but we all don't know how it's going to come out. And I think we need to keep an ear and eye out to watch it along the way so we preserve that. Because as I said, I think it's just as important as anything else that we've done. I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to say this because I know it's a feeling thing, but I think that's just as important as anything else. And we all live on the island, and we all love the island, and we want it to continue in the future. And I think that just has to be said, that needs to be in consideration. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Comments, questions? I think we have another.
I'm Jerry McGee, in Cove. It's what I call the other Kiel. Don't have the privilege of being behind the gates like many of you do. I would like to comment and echo what the people before me have said. I found this process, and like the other gentleman, I sit on many private and public boards, and I have seen great flaws in the way this was conducted. I think the information sharing seemed to have a bias to it. I asked a question of the treasurer as to had a valuation been done as to what these properties are actually worth. And sort of told, oh, don't worry about that, we'll figure that out. It's more about the way the island looks as you approach it. I tend to look at the island as a totality. The reason we came here a long time ago, 17 years ago, was because this is not Hilton Head. And I want to make sure that this board understands that going forward, we are on the brink of becoming overdeveloped. And that those of you who have the responsibility, to all of us, should take that very seriously. And I know you all work hard, and we appreciate it. And like the speakers before me, we appreciate all the wonderful efforts that got made after the hurricane. But still, there was no opposition voices. There was no ability to have an op-ed in all the information that you put forward. And this isn't the first time this happened. It happened also when Kika went absolutely berserk trying to renovate this property. And fortunately, better heads prevailed, and what was an overly ambitious and highly expensive plan did not get done. So I hope going forward we can count on this leadership, begin to realize that there are many of us here who don't agree with the direction you take and have suspicions about what the motives are and why you seem to be in bed with people who I don't think have the best interests of the island in this particular case. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I would ask at this time if you wish to cast a vote, please go with Holly downstairs. Unless someone else has come in, I think it's Wendy and Holly, and we will just stand in a brief recess, and she'll be back quickly and we'll announce the result of the vote. So 63.1% of eligible voters cast a vote, which means we had 35 votes cast in person today. We needed a quorum of 51%, so we exceeded the quorum comfortably. Votes cast in favor, 5,000. Votes cast against, 744. 87% for, 13% against. The vote passes. Be appropriate now to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.